Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Min, and today I want to share with you guys what I'm going to be doing to prepare for the 2020 recession. So today is March 16th, 2020. We just had another 10% dip in the S&P 500. It's not officially a recession yet, but I wanted to prepare for the worst. In order for a recession to occur, we need 2 quarters of economic decline in the GDP. I personally feel this might happen in either Q1 and Q2 or Q2 and Q3. A lot of companies are sending people home to work or closing their doors temporarily. This is going to affect businesses in a very big way. And we haven't even seen the virus go crazy yet. So there's a chance that everybody can become sick and then everybody can't work. And that's the worst thing that can happen to the US economy. So just a month ago, the Dow index was at 29,000 points. And today, as a recording of this video, it's sitting at 20,000. That is a 30% drop in the Dow in less than 30 days. Now the reason for this is probably because everybody is scared out of their minds right now and they're trying to get a lot of their cash back in the event that a recession does occur. So when everybody sells everything, all of a sudden the price of the stocks all go down. So I wanted to tell you guys what me and my family are going to be doing to prepare for this recession in the event that it occurs. So let's get into those now. So the first thing we're going to be doing is making sure that our family is taken care of. So you guys probably saw a lot of the grocery stores are running out of supplies. People are buying all the food and water. So making sure that you have enough of that to survive this chaotic time is going to be important. Now normally I wouldn't go and join this frenzy because I think it's a little crazy. But imagine going to the store and actually trying to buy some of these things and realizing none of it is available anymore and you don't really know when the next shipment is going to come in. Now the CEO of Walmart just told everybody that none of the supply chains are broken. Supplies are still coming in, but they can't restock them fast enough because people are buying them all. But given that everybody's buying everything, who knows when that stuff's gonna come in. You and your family don't wanna be caught not having supplies when you need it the most. So me personally, I've stocked up on 50-pound bags of rice and noodle. We eat a lot of that. We also stocked up on some meat that we commonly eat. And fortunately for us, we bought a bunch of cases of water before people started going crazy at Costco and buying everything up. We also have 3 young boys, so in the event they get a fever, we wanna make sure we have some Tylenol available, also some cough medicine, and maybe some saline drops, just to make sure that we have that stuff on hand and we're not scrambling for it in the store when we need it the most. Now, fortunately for me, I had a lot of this already on hand. I do have 3 children, so they always get sick, and I have actually extra in the cabinet. But for those people that are actually going out and buying all of these things up, just keep in mind that there are parents out there that have sick children that need this stuff, so stop buying everything. And if you guys have parents or elderly parents, make sure you guys check in on them. Remember, some of them can't drive, so make sure you get some supplies for them. Most likely they're gonna stay in their houses most of the time anyways, so making sure that they're well stocked up. They have food, water, and basic medications so they can survive without having to go to the store for a while. And the last thing you wanna do with your family is make sure that you have your family doctor's card available so that way you can call them in the event you need them. And also know where your nearest urgent care and hospital are, that way in the event you need them, you don't have to scramble to find this information. The next thing you want to make sure you take care of are things in your house. So you want to make sure you lock your doors and your gates and your garages because there's going to be some desperate people during these times. Remember, once the food supply runs out at the store, there are going to be some crazy people out there that are going to break into your houses or cars just so they can get these supplies. And they may not even need these things, they're just getting them because they know that they're worth a lot of money and they're probably trying to make a quick buck. So make sure you lock all your doors, close all your windows, and take everything out of your car and make sure that it's not an easy target for them. Now in the event that someone does go into your home, make sure you do have some kind of home defense. Either you have an alarm for your house so you can notify the police really quickly, or exercise your Second Amendment right in the event that somebody tries to break in. Try not to invite too many people over to your house. Most likely they're all in a scramble for supplies as well. If they see that you have a bunch of stuff that they want, they might actually take your stuff or try to buy it from you. And right now things are kind of scarce, so make sure you keep those for your own family members. And also, if people come over, that's a chance that they're going to spread the virus onto you if they have it. So it's best to just stay away from people until this thing blows over. The safest place to be during a time like this is right at home. The next thing you want to make sure you tidy up is actually your job. So during a recession, there's going to be a lot of layoffs. You really don't know what sector is going to be affected until people start getting laid off and losing their jobs. So you want to make sure you keep your job because if you don't have your job, you're most likely going to lose your house right after that if you don't have an emergency fund. So if you're that person that's leaving early every day or showing up late or calling in all the time, you might want to stop doing that because most likely you're going to be cut first. Make sure you're there every day, 8 to 5. Show the company that you actually care about them and show them that you're going to help them through this situation because things are going to get bad really quickly here as people stop working and people start getting sick. Just remember that if companies aren't making any money through their business, they're going to start cutting things and then eventually they're going to start cutting people. So you don't want to make yourself an easy target for them to cut. Companies can't fire everybody unless they're going bankrupt, so you want to make sure that you're somebody that they cannot afford to not have during a recession. And also, one last thing, make sure you start updating your resume. Your resume is probably super old like mine was. Make sure you go and update it now. Right now is the perfect time to do it because you don't want to wait until the recession happens and then people start getting laid off. You want to be ahead of the game and ready to apply in the event you lose your job. So make sure that resume is up to date with your current job, and that way you don't have to worry about it during a stressful time in the event you get laid off. The next thing is to make sure your finances are all in order. The banks are going to be pretty crazy during these times because everybody's going to be calling in and seeing if they can get an extension or postpone their payments. You don't want to be sitting on the phone waiting hours and hours for a bank rep. The Fed just cut the rate once again, so this is the perfect time to consolidate your high interest debt, refinance your home loan if you have one, and get things locked in at a very low rate. These kinds of things are going to make or break you during the recession because having more cash during the recession means that you're going to have less stress. Also, make sure that you have your emergency funds ready. I usually recommend 3 to 6 months worth, but this is during good times. During bad times like a recession, you should be bumping this up to 6 to 12 months. It takes a long time to find a job during a recession. And so having that 6 months in extra reserves is going to be very beneficial if a recession does happen. And then make sure that you get your budget in order. Cut back on things that are not necessary. Only spend money on things that you actually need. It's probably a good idea to stay home more often as well. You'll save money by not going out and also save a lot of money by not having to drive everywhere. And then the last thing you should be considering during a recession is actually investing. This is probably the last thing you want to be thinking about during a recession, but if you remember, everybody always wants to buy low and sell high. During a recession, that is pretty much the low. Now, you only want to do this with money that you can actually spare. Don't cut into your emergency funds. If you have a lot of money on the sideline you were thinking about investing, well, now's the time you can do that. You don't want to use your emergency fund because the worst thing that can happen is the market goes down even more, and then you need that money for whatever reason and you have to sell those stocks. That means you just lost money in the stock market. Now, I'm not your financial advisor, and me personally, I've lost some money in the stock market already, so just take my advice as just some guy on YouTube telling you what to do. But me personally, I would invest in really large companies that have a lot of cash on hand. During this time, cash is going to be very important because that's what keeps a company from filing bankruptcy. I've actually repositioned some of my growth stocks that I was investing in into these large companies. Companies like Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Microsoft, Apple. These companies have a lot of cash on hand, so they can definitely pay their workers and continue business even if they're taking a loss. Now, I know these companies will survive because they are actually at the forefront of all of this with the president currently. Companies like Walmart, Costco, Target, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, and many others. And these companies have proven that they can survive a market crash because they survived the 2008 financial crisis. Another reason why I repositioned some of my stocks is because a lot of startups during this time tend to fail. And the reason for that is because a lot of startups actually don't generate any profits in their company. They have really high valuations because people tend to buy stocks when they think companies are going to be the next big thing. But the problem is when they run out of cash, they have no money. And so they have to go and borrow it from the banks. Eventually they can't make those payments and then they have to file for bankruptcy. And so investing in some of these small tech companies that don't have a lot of cash on hand is very dangerous during a recession because a lot of them can end up disappearing and running out of money. So you can see here on my screen, a company like Johnson & Johnson, they have $19 billion in cash on hand. Procter & Gamble similarly has $10 billion in cash. Apple has $100 billion in cash on hand. Microsoft has $133 billion cash on hand. You can see here Ford has $34 billion in cash on hand. And so you can see these companies are much better positioned than other companies that don't have any cash. They can actually pay back their debts. They can actually pay back the banks that they're borrowing money from. And they can actually survive through a recession because they have so much money available. And one last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is to make sure that you guys don't panic. We've gone through this before. Some of you may not remember during the 2008 recession. Me, I personally don't remember a lot of it. I just remember a lot of houses going on sale and a lot of people losing their jobs. Fortunately for me, I didn't lose my job during that time. But the important thing is that we survived that chaos. People aren't really even talking about that event anymore or what happened during that time. But just remember, we're going to get through this. It may seem like the world is ending, but it will pass eventually. And then we're going to go back into a booming economy after this. And remember that the coronavirus is really only affecting the older generation. For people like me, I'm only 34. If you're young and healthy, you're most likely just going to get a cold and a flu, and you're going to get better, and then you're going to go back to your old ways. The important thing is that you don't go and spread it to everybody, because this is highly contagious. We don't want the entire American population to be sick, and that's why they're putting so much money back into the system and closing down schools and businesses, because they know that if everybody in the US becomes sick, that means that nobody's gonna be able to work. And that means that they're gonna lose money for a long time. It's gonna be hard for them to recover 3 to 6 months of outage versus maybe only 2 weeks. So you can see a lot of businesses are closing only for 2 weeks, and they're gonna wait for a vaccine hopefully, or wait for a cure, or maybe the virus will just go away on its own like the swine flu. You know, people might build immunity to it. We just don't know yet. That's kind of what a lot of the businesses are gambling on. They're willing to close their doors for 2 weeks because they know that if they don't spread it for those 2 weeks, it might benefit them long term. So just remember guys, a lot of people became millionaires during the last recession. You could be one of them this time. Just make sure you have your finances in order, you have good credit, and you have a good job. Because who knows how long this is gonna last, but you wanna make sure that you're ready for that, so that way you can come out on top when this thing is all over. And remember guys, during a time like this, cash is king. Alright you guys, hopefully that video was helpful. If it was, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with one of your friends. And if you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you're aware when new videos are uploaded. And as always, have a nice day.